Kiribati is a nation of low-lying coral atolls scattered across the vastness of the Pacific Ocean. For thousands of years, the people of Kiribati have learned to live in harmony with their isolated and fragile islands. But in recent times, rapid modernization and a growing population has also increased the demand for more permanent housing and infrastructure. There is no question that crowded low-lying atolls like South Tarawa will be amongst the first places on Earth to feel the real impacts of climate change and rising sea levels. That is why the government of Kiribati is becoming increasingly concerned about a growing practice that is literally undermining their last defense against the Pacific Ocean.
We're facing some huge pressures here in the South Tarawa environment. We've got some 40,000 people on about 10 square miles of land. So these are extremely high density population. We're running out of room for houses in South Tarawa. It's a very simple premise. If you have built on a very soft sandy shoreline that is dynamic and likely to move depending on weather cycles, storm cycles, etc. and season, then if it's a small local house that can be picked up and moved, there's not too much bother if we suddenly get erosion. However, if you've just invested $20,000, $30,000 in building your family block home out of cement, there's no way you can move that structure, and indeed there's no way you can probably afford to move it in the context of the local environment here.
According to SOPAC, the Pacific Islands Applied Geoscience Commission, local beach miners are now removing more than 70,000 cubic meters of sand and gravel from South Tarawa's beaches every year. This is enough material to fill 30 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
I think we were all quite seriously surprised by the volume of extraction. It's quite clear driving around South Tarawa that beach mining activity is commonplace, and in fact there's hardly an area in South Tarawa where it isn't actually occurring. But on any given day, I guess you're just seeing small rice bags of aggregate stacked up by the road. But once we actually looked at the figures, we estimate something in the region of 70,000 cubic meters a year is being removed just from the beaches alone. And this is just by household, small-scale activity.
Once this vital protective material is removed, it cannot be replaced by natural replenishment, leading to even greater erosion and increasing vulnerability to the impacts of storms and changing weather patterns.
We already see erosion all up and down South Tarawa because of beach mining. Erosion isn't just about the loss of land, it's about the loss of your protective system that's going to protect you from storm waves, etc. That's bad enough, but in the context of climate change, where weather patterns can change, we might be having more storms, we might be having higher water, this is a disaster, okay? And we really have to address it now.
If you continue to mine your beaches, eventually you have no beaches left, and you have nowhere to situate your house, and you have nowhere for your children and your grandchildren to situate their houses. So that's an economic imperative, particularly if you have lots of flooding going on, as there is at the moment, of the local hospital and the maternity ward. So every time there's really major tides, the maternity ward gets flooded. And part of the reason for that is because there is too much mining going on.
You can tear down mountains in most countries because they do have mountains. You can quarry the mountains. But here you're quarrying the very land on which you are standing. And so it is fragile. It's a very serious problem because in most countries, they do have mountains. We don't. We're living in a country which is barely 2 meters above sea level on average. And so it is a serious issue. And so any substantial mining or even minimal mining is going to affect the shoreline. And so it is a serious problem even before the problem of sea level rise. And so that in fact compounds the problem that we already have been facing.
Beach beach mining is an important source of income for many families in South Tarawa. Tebikis Tabu and her husband Tabu Tavita say they are almost totally reliant on the sale of aggregates to support their family.
Narang iris konan karo sibutas konan karo itayan pain kiri pesa kapua ke ipun ngono na bende kan interakan ne ane pun nasuna roya ari yaki paka pa katwa jepung mete wiki mete na makaina ke tiri kita wan o ya karawan magure kai takin narun kang haiteran kari ke mane ka wari kai kang asak tiben nangin parin tebtai ko pun mga nangin kain na no kya paina o paina na ben tebtai ako nande ke mente itirare ke are ko ota ke toy na ko nang kana amma ko ri honet akya na ko nananay pare kana tawa kari ke yamma ko rin tataw ta ato ya ko nan to kin kanyari pare are ke yamman may ibu kin tangiran sensiro ya ko nanto parian na po kungen kusian day ni ani ana pun na ko na ya ko nanto si kana yare kay yamma guri yare na kay yamma ni may ay tayang kang bandangina pariangin kaya na kan tatabayo aki makuri kang step men na ka makuri o bandangin te sa na ka pun kain roy pundi makuri ang kanya ni roy kang angin tetay ya on me kinna pakari kaya kari ke man ke
ya kami sinaya ke atan on muri ni ko
ikaw nga karawa. Kanga koro yung mitakakaro ke, pare rawa taro ang bagay kain dari kim ni kangay. Yan ikaw nga, ikaw kuray. Kanga yagi kakwa.
Karen, bunar ko, buni yari yang bugin. Agar pa yakar. Ay yang takan tani ngara. Toy nga yari kena pagi. Karena sekarang duta na napakaran ito, ay buta kiro wana kine. Jadi kebun tawara aras so kami. Karena ada itirai tekan daron lagi. Makanya harus lebih aku katakan pun nggak percayaan dan percaya. Oke, nggak aku ya. Ada kan siang. Ada tempat yang ada aku di mana anda. Kalau nak orang anda usung kamu semua ini, angka ya apa ini lagi? Kalau sini kan ya mana cara? Ya ada mana cara terkait. Kalau aku pun naruh kosi mana, kalau orang naruh, kalau orang lagi lah. Tahu kita anak buah kayak bos guna kalau cuma orang makan ini kayak uas baru orang. Sangat jahat.